welcome back to the channel. My name's Michaela. I'm so glad you're here. On this channel, we talk about everything from reading and writing to comic books to manga to anime to cosplay to board games and video games and everything in between. Today, we are going to be talking about how to fall back in love with writing or how to write like you did when you were a kid. So if this seems to be your thing, please stick around and I've got a bunch of tips for you to help you with your writing. So let me guess. At one point in time, you were in love with writing. I mean, you were writing every single day. Your notebooks were filled to the brim with stories. Your laptop was this haven of all these new wonderful creations and worlds. And then one day you get a little thing called writer's block. You stop writing for a while, but you come back around to it and you have another great spell of writing and motivation, but then the writer's block comes back. And maybe this repeats on and off for a while, maybe a few years, until one day you're hit with the writer's block and it doesn't go away. It's not just you have writer's block for a few days or a few weeks, all of a sudden it's a few months, maybe a few years. And it's just not going away, and it's starting to not feel like writer's block, but like a part of you has died. Like that author part of you, that dream has died. And it makes you feel kind of sad and not really motivated at all to write, and like puts you almost in a state of mourning for this part of your life. But then you start thinking about it, and you realize you don't really want that part of you to die. That dream's still alive. I'm assuming that's where you're at now if you're here at this video. Good news, that part of you truly isn't dead. That author side of you, even if it feels like that writer has completely died, she hasn't. She's still there, just buried. And if you're here, that means you're starting to take those first few steps to unbury her. So let's pull that writer up from the ground. Let's get into why we write and get you back to writing. Hi, Editing Michaela here. Make sure you have a piece of paper, a pen, a pencil, or a whiteboard, a marker, or some type of notebook. You're gonna be doing some journaling here, so get something you can write on. So the first thing I want you to do in your journal is I want you to create a column for why you want to write. For me, it was simple, and this one can be the simplest one. It was, I had a dream to write. I want to be an author. I wanted to be an author as a kid, and I want to be an author now. That has not changed. That has been a lifelong goal of mine, and I want to achieve that goal. That's my why. Now, once you have that done, we're now going to look into more of the mushy-gushy stuff behind this, and I'm so sorry, but it's something that can help. Is I want you to write down one column, and you're going to put in it why or what you used to feel like when you would write. So back when you're writing all the time, what did that feel like for you? For me, it felt new and exciting and invigorating. I wrote at a very, very young age. I fell in love with stories at a young age. And every book I read and every story I came up with was something brand new and something I never ever seen before. And it's, concepts that have been around for a very long time. The Golden Trio, the Hero's Journey, the Chosen One stories. They were all new to me. I was very excited by them. And every time I wrote something, I felt like I was really contributing something new. And it was so wonderful. I had all these ideas, and then as I got older and I started reading more and my books started to get angstier, all of a sudden my books were changing. The books I was writing, they were changing. They were getting angstier. And it was still so fun. It was some place for me to put all of my emotions and all these ideas, and it was still so new and wonderful. Now that you've kind of had a moment, and you can pause this video at any time to do your writing here. But now that you've figured out what it used to feel like, write down, what does it feel like now when you write? Or when you think about writing? Because if you're here, you might not be writing, but you want to. So what do you feel when you think about writing? For me right now, I'm starting to come out of this. That's why I'm making this video. But when I first started going through and really tackling this issue, and it's still something I'm dealing with, something I felt about writing was sad and guilt. I felt so guilty when I would think about writing. I felt guilty because I felt like I was letting down my childhood self. I was letting go of a dream that was such a core part of who I was. Being a writer, everybody in my family knew I was a writer, and that's what I wanted to do. My mom bought me endless books for my homeschool curriculum on how to be a creative author and be a creative writer. I was put through so many courses for writing. I went to so many classes. I learned so much. People would constantly buy me books on writing and different styles of writing, from screenplays to novels to poetry to essays. And I spent so much of my time doing it and being immersed in all of that now I feel like I've let so many people down. I've let myself down. I've let the people in my life down. I've let my dream down. And it's made me feel very guilty. Now, once you've done that and you've discovered what it feels like, I want you to analyze how you feel about that answer. So maybe you feel great about writing now. You think about writing and you feel super happy, so that probably means you feel pretty good about your answer. For me, I just felt sad. I don't want to feel that way about my writing. I don't want to look at such a fun and wonderful thing as something that depressing. So now we have more motivation and more of a why to fix the problem. The last thing I want you to do here for this section is we're going to do a bit of a bigger column. So at the top, I want you to think of a few reasons why you don't write as much anymore. For me, I had two big reasons up here at the top. I had time and I had stress. Now underneath it, make two smaller columns. One, you're gonna put in valid reasons, and the other one you're gonna put excuses. Now before you start putting either of them there, we're gonna start dissecting them. For me, like I said, the two things for me, maybe it's more or less for you. My two things were time and stress. For me, I had to look at those and really figure out, are these valid reasons to not write anymore, or are they excuses? And I wanted to put both of them in valid reasons immediately. Especially the time one. I mean, I don't have time. I'm a mom, I'm a stepmom, I've got two jobs, I go to school, I'm a wife. When do I have free time, right? Until I started looking at my schedule a bit more closely. I went to my screen time on my phone and realized there were more and more days where I was spending 3 to 4 hours scrolling on my phone. Not straight, granted. Some of it was just me checking a few things, but there's a good 20, 30 minutes somewhere in there where I just sat and scrolled. I realized I had a couple of days where I was able to watch more than one episode of an anime. I was able to watch a couple episodes. I watched a movie one day that I'd seen 1,000 times. I was able to sit and just do nothing for, 5 minutes one day. And there's something wrong with filling your time with that, but I realized time was no longer a valid reason for me not to be writing. So I put it in the excuse column. The other one was stress. Stress is a big one for me. When I'm stressed, I don't want to do anything. And my life is filled with a lot of stress, both good and bad. And it feels like the older I get, the more stress is kind of piled on. But that's not a valid reason. I thought about it and I was like, I don't want to write because it just feels like something else is going to overwhelm me. But that's a lie. And I don't know where that lie came from, but it's a lie because writing's always been an escape for me. Reading's always been an escape for me. These are my stress reliefs. Reading and writing, escaping into other worlds, creating something, being able to look at my problems through the lens of fiction. That's always been a stress relief for me. So why on earth am I using that as an excuse? So again, it went from the valid reasons over to the excuse. Now take a minute here and really dissect what your reasons are and put them into their categories. Now that we're done journaling, let's go into how can we fix this problem? Goodness, lady, you've given us all this writing to do here, and we've had to really take a look at ourselves, but how's this gonna help us write? Well, you're right. This is really just to help you look and get your motivation and be able to accept the tips that are coming. So more often than not, when I talk to writers that are struggling with this, the number one thing that they come to when they say I can't write anymore is time. And another thing is motivation. Both of these things can be dealt with. So let's start with time. Now, I don't know what reasons you put down, but the tips that are going to be throughout here, they should be able to help you with whatever you wrote down. And if there's something else and you don't feel like I covered it in the video, please leave a comment and I will help you in the comments below as well as I can. So let's look at time first. Time is one of the easiest ones to fix, believe it or not, because we just need to build a routine. I know, light bulb moment. Oh my gosh, I've never seen a video on how to write more that included the word routine in. Oh my gosh. Now, you're right. This is something that gets brought up a lot, but something I don't see brought up a lot is how to create that routine in a realistic way. Most people are going to tell you, find one time throughout the day, every single day, and stick to it. Plan it into your schedule. Put it in your planner. Commit to it. And that's all fine and dandy, but that's kind of hard to do. I realized I couldn't commit to writing the same time every single day. That's something I have just now come to that conclusion with. I have a video from just a few weeks ago on here where I was trying to get up at 5 a.m. and write every single day. That does not work with my schedule. I have a hard time committing to one single time every single day to write because my days always look different. So what do I do instead? I would say if that works for you, please do. If you can find one single time every single day that works, do it. I'm not saying don't do that. But something else you can try is set smaller goals for yourself. If you realize you're sat there and you're doing nothing, or you're rewatching something, or you're on your phone, or you're not being very productive, and you've only got 5 minutes you're trying to fill that with writing. And set small, tiny goals in the way of word counts. For me, something that's been pretty consistent is I tell myself I just want to write 100 words today. If I can write 100 words every single day, 6 days a week, I'll feel pretty good about it. Am I good about making it every single day that I've planned? No. Some days I skip. But I'm getting better about it. I'm getting to the habit of it. And 100 words is something doable for me. I don't feel overwhelmed by that. I'm like, oh, I can hit that within a few minutes. That's not a bad thing for me to do. But the beauty behind it is that most of the time, when I have more time to sit down and write, I can easily go over that 100 words. Once I start, it's really hard for me to stop. And the hardest part is that first 100 words. It's getting into the story. And if there's a day that I can't get past that 100 words, that's fine. At least I wrote those 100 words, and that's still doable. For you, it might not even be 100 words. It could be 50 words. Maybe you can write more and not be as stressful. Maybe for you, it's 1,000 words. I feel like you just need to figure out what's doable for you and what feels right. You never want to rely on your feelings for much in this world when it comes to being disciplined. But in this case, yeah, pick a goal that feels good, that doesn't feel overwhelming, and then just stick to it. From there, you can build your routine. I have a nice little routine that I try to do as a treat, maybe once, twice a month. And if you're curious about what that routine looks like, it's a bit more in depth. It's a bit more of a romanticizing writing routine. If you're interested in that, please let me know and I'll make a video all about that too. It's one of my favorite things to do. But yeah, just start small like that. It doesn't have to be anything big, and you don't have to write in your computer either. You can write, in a notebook. You can just world build for a while. Maybe you want to create 2 things for your world. Maybe that's your goal. Whatever it is, just make it. Just make something small and something you can stick to that doesn't feel overwhelming. So something else writers really struggle with when I talk to them about why they stopped writing is motivation. Motivation is a fickle thing. When we're motivated, we can write easily, right? It all comes to us so easily, but eventually we stop feeling motivated. Writing takes time, and motivation doesn't like to hang around forever. Eventually, there's going to come a day where you're not going to feel motivated to write. You still got to write anyways. That's where those smaller goals come in for your routine. But you don't want to feel sluggish about it, and you like having motivation. So how do you get more motivation? I'm sorry to say it's kind of hard to obtain motivation, but there are things you can do to help spark it. One, I want you to read. Read a book that's similar to what you're writing and something that's not similar at all, but something you still enjoy. Pick up an old favorite and reread a few passages, or pick up something you just know you're gonna love. And remind yourself of why you want to be an author. Don't do this part for long, because then you'll end up reading more than you are writing, but it's a good way to find motivation. Listen to music that motivates you. Music has inspired more than one of my books and more than one scene. I like to create playlists for my books and listen to them. There's sometimes I'll be driving and a song will come on. I immediately start thinking of a story. Use music. Watch a movie. And I know I just said, I had all this time, and then there was a day I was watching a movie and I realized I could have been writing, but sometimes we're looking for motivation, so it's okay. Watch a movie that will inspire something, some type of feeling, something you would love, or again, an old favorite. And start thinking of ideas that excite you. So if your work in progress right now isn't doing it, take a break from it and do something else. The other part of this is you have to choose to want to write. There's a certain point where you have to choose the love of writing. You have to choose the motivation. You have to choose to do it because your love for writing is stronger than the lack of motivation. You have to choose your story over whatever else you have going on, except don't do that, because you don't want to prioritize your writing over everything in your life. When I say this, I mean other hobbies and, mindless doom scrolling. I don't mean prioritize your story over your family and loved ones. Don't do that. Keep that in mind. Okay, same page, back to it. So you're going to choose the love of your story over that feeling to go and doom scroll on TikTok. There we go. That's probably a better way to phrase it. There is a part where it's just straight up choosing it, and there is a part where you can find it, and it's a balance depending on where you're at in your life. If you've realized that you've read all the things, you've listened to all the music that normally works, nothing's working, then you just have to choose it. You just have to choose to do it. And the hardest part, again, is just getting started, but then once you do, that motivation will find you again. Oh, and another thing you can do that helps, at least it helps me, is to go outside. When I go outside, I feel like I think of the best ideas. All right, this part was a bit more discombobulated. You can see I didn't have this written in order. I was just saying these things that I had kind of pinpointed, but I hope you got the gist of it there. You did it. You listened to me yap for a good long while there about writing and finding motivation. I hope this helped you to some extent to find your love of writing again. I plan on making a more detailed list of things to help you create writing routines very soon, and things that you can do to romanticize writing. Again, if you're interested in my romanticizing writing routine, let me know. That would be, I think, a very fun video to film. But all of that stuff's coming up in the future. This was more targeted towards getting to the root of the problem. These were things that I did, that journaling, that reflecting. These are things that I really thought about and dove into to get myself out of that, writer's block, to bring back that author that was buried underneath there somewhere. So I really hope that you found something in here to help you as well. Now, if you are interested in anything nerdy, whether it's reading, writing, comic books, cosplay, gaming, whatever it is, please consider liking and following me here. Subscribe. I'm trying to reach 60 subscribers by the end of winter, so it'd mean a lot to me if you subscribed. I swear I'm going to get better at these videos. I'm still fairly new to all of this. I so appreciate you spending your time here with me. Now, I want you to go and write something. Can be anything and everything, but you got to go write something. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.